Hey guys, I hope you all had a great weekend, rested up a little bit, getting ready for the week ahead. It already looks like things are going to get a little bit crazy in the Elon crypto world. Tesla up another 20, and crypto going bananas, and its proxies, of course, like the miners, MSTR coin up a massive amount. Let's take a look at S&P. First of all, we've got this. Just a reminder, everyone, of the disclaimer. So that anything we talk about today is for educational, entertainment, and information purposes only. Pretty amazing breakout over the last few days. We saw the VIX crash to 15, but remember, this is still upside vol. This is a significant amount of vol, and it's actually starting to get a little bit sort of panicky, right? So we have this sort of bull here. We've sort of kind of broken through. We're getting a little bit parabolic, and today we're getting that extra bit of sort of mania fuel from the crypto space. So I'd start to be a little bit careful in here. I'm not going to get bearish, but I'm going to be very, very careful adding to longs. I've got positions in Mara, SoFi, and Hood that I'm probably going to be monetizing today. Bitcoin at 82,000 almost looks a little bit more interesting to me versus the proxies, right? So the proxies, all those sort of secondary names, sort of had to play a little bit of catch up. And we talked about that a couple months ago with my MSTR idea with M2 money supply breaking out and everything. I nailed it to within a day of the beginning of this massive move. So lucky there. So we had this big move. We've made amazing, amazing gains last week. We'll talk about those in a moment. But this is getting a little bit kind of nutso, eh? Like, I mean, we're starting to go a little bit parabolic here, but look at this pattern. I think we can probably kind of drift up a little bit into this. We're probably not going to see the VIX come down too much because that upside vol is very big, and also because I think the upside call skew was compressed so much, and it's panic. It's sort of swung back up. That might keep vol a little bit bid at least over the next few days. Then I think customers are going to come back in and start hammering calls, and that's going to push down some of the vol a little bit. And which is why we're putting on some further downside volatility compression plays in VIX in our community. So we're still going to play that. We had 6 trades last week. All of them made money in vol compression. Some of them made up to 200%. So I'm going to continue to play that, but right now you're going to see that your torque is a little bit different, right? Your torque before was Vega. That's our exposure to implied volatility. We had short Vega on all these trades, and the vol reset in a very big way. That is Vega exposure where we made our money. We didn't make it from Theta. We made it from Vega. Now we might have a little bit more Vega to go, but you might start seeing Theta take over. So guys, you have to understand what Greek is in play here, right? What Greek is kind of in the lead of the pack of that sort of, think of like, a pack of cyclists in a race. Who is ahead of the game right now, and who's starting to deliver more of that torque? So we'll have to see how that plays out over the next couple days. QQQ as well, of course, just, massive, massive move as well. A little bit more reluctant at first, but it finally went, right? It finally went. So, here is, let's get rid of this here. We've got a similar sort of situation, big breakout, maybe a little bit concerning. We've got a MACD that's actually looking okay. So from that standpoint, things are looking okay. So you look back here, we had a crossover. We had quite a number of days up. We had another crossover here. We had quite a number of days up. Now we're in breakout land. So I don't think this is an area where you get super, super bullish. Maybe you play for maybe a retest back to the 505, 503 level, and then kind of take it from there, and then probably look for further upside into the end of the year, unless something really breaks out there. Here's your IWM, massive, massive move. I didn't quite perfect on it, but I did sell some calls, so I'm going to have to deal with those this week. It's expiry week. So we have a little bit of a gap that maybe we come in. I don't know, higher rates, not great for an index that's sort of 50% floating rates. So, I think there's some challenges there, but of course it's benefited from some of the financial exposure, et cetera. So I think, it's playing the same tune that everybody else is playing. Here's your ARC, amazing. We've actually got this in the community. We had it for months, and now it's finally going. I actually sold some stock against these. It's popping in the post market, so I may sell a little bit more stock against it and just play for this this level here. But if it holds above kind of 55-ish today, I'd be careful getting bearish, because that's going to be making those highs new highs versus about a year ago. Let's take a look at VIX. There's the crush that we saw, really, really big crush. I thought it would come more after FOMC, but it came right after the election and then continued down. Remember, I talked about drip, drip, drip. That's what vol does sometimes. It doesn't. If you think this is going to zoom back up to 24 right away, you're probably going to be unhappy, right? You're going to be disappointed because this is your typical kind of drip, drip, drip. And what I'm going to show you is here's the VIX futures sort of in the week leading up to the election. Very panicky, very ugly. You've got the VIX in the green line above the VIX futures. This is an unhappy picture, which is why people were very nervous going into those events. Very understandable. And now this is what we've got here. This is a happy picture. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put a happy face on here. Here's my little happy face. There, happy picture. And this is a sad picture. I'm not even going to put the big round eyes. He's just sad and he's squinting. So over here, what you've got is you've got the VIX nice and low. Could be lower. I think it's going to get lower. I think we're going to see in the 13s fairly soon going into the holidays. And you've got the curve here. December, it's natural for it to be kind of a little bit lower than some of those further out ones because you've got the holidays. But you've got everything kind of going up, right? So that's a very happy picture. We're very happy about that. And what that means is the vol products like VXX are going to be struggling in this scenario because VIX futures are going to collapse into the cash and you've got this negative roll yield. Things are not looking good for products like that. That's why we are in SVIX and SVXY. This is your negative half short vol, and this is your negative one-time short vol. So these are trades that I recommended last week. Also terrific trades. Let's take a look at those actually, just to kind of have a post-mortem of what we're looking at. Let's see. Okay, so VIX 19 puts. These are all VIX crush trades. I don't even have my TLT on here, which we're still up money on, which I'm going to probably take off today. We're seeing a bit of a pullback in TLT. So with VIX 19 puts, we paid $1.56. I paid as little as 147 for those. Made a ton of money on those. VIX Fly paid into it, but you could have gotten it for 65, no problem. Now it's trading at $1.50, even more than $1.50 maybe this morning. SVIX Nov 26 call, got in at 90 cents. 260, I took it off. VIX 15 put, I didn't do this trade here. This one, it was okay. I didn't like the Vega exposure in the VIX, in the DECE position. And I had, you could finance it with some upside calls. I just didn't like that as much. Now, it's looking good now because we didn't blow up, but I hate selling $5 call spreads for 30 cents. I have an aversion to doing things like that. So, and then the VXX long put spread also doing amazing too. So this is how you do it, guys, right? You set up for something where the edge is really, really lining up, and it worked out very, very nicely. So we had some great trades. One of our best weeks. This is on one contract, guys. Keep in mind, if you see people on Twitter, they're like, oh, I made 50 grand, I made 100 grand last week. That's meaningless. That might be on $1 million, $2 million, $3 million portfolio. They might be doing stupid trades too, like selling, 10-cent puts out of the money, being very capital inefficient. Doing this the right way is being capital efficient. That's what I teach in my programs. Capital efficiency. You don't sell 12-cent puts on $100 stocks. It's stupid. Yes, you're going to make money 18 times in a row, but the one time it doesn't work out, you're going to get wiped out. So capital efficiency, making $3 and risking 3,000 doesn't make sense. So a lot of capital efficient trades in here. You can see we had some real winners, some small ones, cash secured puts. They tend to not make a ton of money. Then some really nice levered plays, Amazon 44%, Coin 79%. Financed plays, okay? These plays were financed, so we were not sticking our necks out very much at all. Tesla 101%, the VIX 19 put that I told you about, we made $1.84. So a lot of good stuff. XLA, we had a dud in there, but 10,300 on one contract. Really great day, great week for us. Now, some of these positions were on for a few weeks, right? This isn't positions you put on in 1 week and take off these 2 days, but a couple of them were over several weeks. So sometimes, it takes a while for these positions to close. We have some more to close this week. As I said, I'm going to be closing some SoFi puts. I'm going to be closing some Reddit positions, some Shack. Actually, I think we closed the Shack already. but I still love that name. I'm going to do a video just on Shack itself. The 10-year yield, this is what I like to see, right? We've come down a little bit. That towards 450, I think is concerning for stocks. So something very, very important to watch. If it can pull back into the point range, I think it's pretty happy times for stocks. There's going to be a signal that maybe we're not going to be massively worried about, at least for now, some of the prevailing issues that could be pushing up rates, debt, um, and inflation and things like that. So here's your Bitcoin, massive jump. It's even a little bit higher this morning. This is really a very, very special chart. This is one that I wouldn't necessarily bet against at the point. A beautiful, beautiful retouch right there. We've got a MACD that's looking very nice. This is not a chart you want to get in the way of. Having said that, you've got some, it depends what you own, right? Like we got out of most of our coin last week. Unfortunately, we made massive amounts on it, but boy, it's jumped up again this morning. Here's one that we still have. We've got some calls on Mara, and that is popping up into the 23 range this morning. So what I would say is we've got a nice little line down here, and up around 23 is a bit of a breakout. Now, I think we could probably get to 26, 27, right? Things are a little panicky out there. 26, 27, which would coincide maybe roughly with that line. Maybe we get a good spot, 26, 27. I'm going to have to take a look at it today and maybe come up with maybe a 1x2 to play that little bit of extra upside. Maybe even collar it out. Don't be afraid to collar. The vols are going to be massive in things like this. So maybe not a bad idea to pick up some of that. See the upside. Talk to you a lot. See that also out. See that because people may monetize that upside. It depends how ready they were for this. If they were very ready for this move, then they're going to maybe compress the upside. If they were not ready, then there's going to be panicking into a name like this that has high short interest. And maybe they're going to push up that upside skew like they would on a GME or something like that. So we're going to have to kind of watch today, see what the skew does. If the skew gets compressed, that's going to tell me that people were ready for it, and I may be a little bit more cautious on the name. If we see the skew super, super healthy to the upside, you might even want to put on some more upside here, right? I mean, according to your risk tolerances and all that stuff, trading a paper account and all that fun stuff that we've got to say. So going to be lots of opportunity this week. I hope you enjoyed the video. Good luck, and we'll see you in the next one.